Good morning and welcome to our school, European Union and Parliament. Learning about the European Union on all its institutions is the best way to know how important are the decisions taken in the European Parliament for our everyday life. For the last 2 weeks, our school has been the European Union with all its states members and institutions for this Euroscola contest. Both students and teachers have been involved in a project that has helped us to understand the importance of a European Parliament and how it affects all European citizens. Every classroom in all classes in the ESO represents the state member of the UE and has elaborated different resolutions which will be read today in our parliamentary session. Resolutions have been classified and studied in committees, and as they do in the European Parliament. For these sessions, these are our committees and their resolutions.
Buenos días. Bienvenidas y bienvenidos a nuestro instituto, a la Unión Europea y al Parlamento Europeo. Aprender sobre la Unión Europea es la mejor manera de conocer cómo influyen las decisiones tomadas por el Parlamento Europeo en nuestras vidas cotidianas. Durante las 2 últimas semanas, el Instituto se ha convertido en la Unión Europea y en todos sus Estados miembros e instituciones. Todo el Instituto ha colaborado en un proyecto común que nos ayuda a comprender la importancia del Parlamento Europeo y las decisiones que toma en su influencia a los ciudadanos. Cada clase ha representado a un Estado miembro de la Unión Europea y, a su vez, ha elaborado unas resoluciones que van a ser estudiadas en la siguiente sesión parlamentaria. Las resoluciones han sido clasificadas por los distintos comités, igual que se hace en la sede parlamentaria. Para esta sesión, los comités nos van a mostrar las siguientes resoluciones.
Bonjour et bienvenue à notre collège, à l'UE et au Parlement européen. Acquérir des connaissances sur l'Union européenne et toutes ses institutions, c'est la meilleure manière de savoir à quel point les décisions qu'on y a prises ont une influence sur notre vie quotidienne. Pendant les 2 dernières semaines, notre collège s'est transformé en Union européenne avec tous ses États membres et ses institutions pour le concours Euroscola. Élèves et professeurs ont collaboré dans un projet commun qui nous a aidés à mieux comprendre l'importance du Parlement et sa répercussion sur la citoyenneté. Chaque salle de classe du collège représente un des États membres de l'UE et des différentes résolutions ont été préparées qui vont faire l'objet de notre séance parlementaire d'aujourd'hui. Ces résolutions ont été classifiées dans des comités de la même façon qu'on procède au Parlement. Pour cette séance, le comité nous présente les résolutions suivantes.
Good morning. Bonjour. Buenos días a todos. Es un honor para mí presidir esta sesión con estos jóvenes parlamentarios que han trabajado tanto para presentar hoy sus propuestas desde los diferentes comités. Como directora del IES Ramón y Cajal, inauguro esta sesión del Parlamento Europeo de Euroscola, que por primera vez va a celebrarse en nuestro centro, en esta sala de juntas que de alguna manera podría representar al Parlamento Europeo. Je vais l'enseigner en français. C'est très bien pour moi d'être ici avec ces jeunes parlementaires européens qui vont nous présenter les différentes résolutions qu'ils ont préparées. Alors, merci bien. And it's great for me to be here with all of you. I know that you've been working hard to prepare all your resolutions. And thank you very much and congratulations for your hard work. Thank you. So let's open this ceremony. We're going to start. Committee of Civil Liberties, Justice and Home Affairs.
Thank you. Sexual education is one, and all the problems connected with it, is one of the most worrying aspects in our generation. We know that there is not a common methodology for sexual education in the EU. In most European countries have their own sexual education, but they are not connected. And even worse, for some European countries, sexual education is still a stigma, which may lead to ignore the real importance of sexual education and may have an impact on teen pregnancy and the spread of sexual diseases.
For such important aspect, we consider that the EU should start campaigns at school to encourage school sexual education accompanied by kids to secure and healthy sexual life. To introduce really efficient tutorials at school about sexual education.
Committee of Employment and Social Affairs.
We all know, and it's our major concern, that rate of unemployment is high among young people in all European state members. 26% in the European Union and 25% in Spain. But unemployment has not only have economical consequences, but psychological as well. We only have to see the increase of street crime and the number of suicides. Young people who have no education, employment or training are losing their faith in our society and its liberty rights. And this can lead to extreme ideologies sustained in racism and xenophobia. Most young people don't know their rights as employees and suffer abusive labor conditions. Most young people can face their future with absolute independence as they have no guarantee of a full-time employment contract and, in many cases, have to depend on their families.
How can we afford as a country all these young people who have been formed in our universities and have to leave because they can't find a job? Viewing all this, we urge the EU. Schools should have special tutorials about employee rights. Implement a transnational European youth network between universities in all EU to give students support and give jobs opportunities and encourage companies to offer job contracts to students all over the EU. Increase the budget for European exchanges such as Erasmus, which help students to learn a new language and acquire experience. Member states should lower taxes and ease a bureaucratic process for new films set up by young people.
Committee of Environment, Public Health and Food Safety.
Thank you. We believe that all initiatives to make citizens aware of the importance of environment are not well developed in our cities. European Union should promote a sustainable solution that may possible a green living and a European competitive economy. Large amounts of waste is burned in increasing and emitting carbon dioxide and methane into the atmosphere, and a lot of chemicals are released in the water, polluting our rivers, sea, lakes, and coastline. It's a pity how citizens put our well-being in our priority. In many big cities, there's no efficient public transport, and citizens have to move by car, increasing the emission of CO2 and destroying the ozone layer. Many green activities have no economical support because they are expensive to install and maintain, and their benefits are too little. Moreover, they can compete with the large energy markets and their interest.
It is alarming the increase of waste. From 1995 to 2012, the amount will increase in Europe in a 45%. The environment issue has been postponed because the economical crisis is too expensive. As people living in a small city, we think things could be done. 1. Lower the ticket fees in public transport. 2. Expanding a planned European public transport. 3. Companies and buildings install solar panels. 4. Support green non-governmental organizations. 5. To educate young people to recycle at schools and education institutions. 6. To encourage green agriculture among young people and create jobs. 7. Factories should install filters to avoid pollution. 8. Promote pedestrian areas in the city center. 9. To reduce the taxes for the buying of hybrid or electrical cars.
Committee of Constitutional Affairs.
Young people are worried by our future. Is it still worth believing in the EU when crisis is affecting to some state members more than to others? Do richer state members help poorer members? Is there any solidarity among two state members? As people living in the south, we feel the northern European countries only care for their own economy and they are not interested in own development. While the Union doesn't invest money in poor countries, young people will have to leave their houses and go to live abroad.
Can we afford so much money invested in education young people who will be lawyers, doctors, engineers in Germany, UK or France? Can the EU do something about this? We strongly believe the European Union will overcome the current economical crisis, but won't it be too late if we don't do something? Do young people believe in democracy and Europe when we have no jobs? It's difficult. We still think Europe is the solution, and so we propose to promote the European spirit, creating the Europe Day in member states, encourage the Union to invest in southern countries to create employment.
Committee of Women's Rights and Gender Equality.
Yes. It is fact that nowadays the number of women getting a university degree is higher than men. But really tell us that only a 13.7% of women hold a top corporate position, that there's a lack of female representation in the decisions taken in the labor market, and that with the same job, wages are lower for female workers. Of course, with the economic crisis, things have gone worse, and employers don't want to take women as they can get pregnant, or have real problems to attend their children when both parents have full-time jobs, or in many cases too, they have elderly people who have to take care.
We think it's essential the creation of an agency to verify the fairness between men and women, taking special attention to the gender balance in senior positions. Support givings rewards to those companies that employ the same number of men and as women, promoting gender equality. Provide women with financial support when they create enterprises and create self-employment. All company boards should write financial reports to prove that equal payment for all employees holding the same position has been completed. To encourage men that both paternity and maternity is a shared task which involves both. Expansion of a care service for both children and elderly to the roles to reduce the burden the women have to cope with.
Committee of Foreign Affairs.
Thank you. During the last few weeks, the riots in Kiev have carried out the most part of the news all around the world. The main reason of this protest was the annoyance of the population toward the government, which was increased after the economical EU treaty offer was rejected by Viktor Yanukovych. Since the former Ukrainian leader was Russian, Russia has been itself forced to intervene because they were afraid of losing power in Ukraine and in the Mediterranean. Therefore, this conflict has reached an international level. As a result of this situation, a referendum took place in Crimea, and now Russia recognizes this peninsula as part of the country. Meanwhile, the NATO, led by the US, has found the situation dangerous for its own interests in the area, so it has declared the referendum an illegal act and has imposed several sanctions to Russian leaders. Here, in the Ramon y Cajal High School, and following the Euroscholar spirit, we have wondered how the EU should react and what measures should be taken. First of all, we consider that economical sanctions usually worsen the situation, so the EU should avoid that way. Secondly, we bear in mind the fact that there are not too many popular and fully democratic political forces in Ukraine. So in order to move towards a more democratic future, the ideals of freedom should be boosted. We are also aware about the ethnic differences amongst the Ukrainian population, and that fact should be remembered by the political parties when taking decisions in order to avoid working against a part of the country. In conclusion, we believe that there is still time to solve the problem, but the EU should react quickly, looking forward to the economical interests and letting the Ukrainian people to decide about their future. Thank you.
Committee of Culture and Education.
Thank you. In the times of the financial crisis, such areas of culture as dancing, music, and other cultural manifestations have received less attention from the governments. We consider this is a real problem as culture is linked to education, tradition, lifestyle, knowledge, and leisure. If our national culture and heritage are not protected, we may lose our identity as a nation and we will adopt our customs and traditions which have nothing to do with our rich history and tradition. Culture generates employment. Lots of young people who study dancing, music, theater have to leave the country as there are no job opportunities for them. It is sad to see how much effort and money they have invested to go abroad and start a brilliant career. Besides, culture contributes to our economy as it supports millions of jobs and produces richness. Culture mostly affects small and medium-sized enterprises. Finally, culture is important for tourism, and tourism is an important income for any country.
We propose the EU should reconsider the negative effects the budget cuts have had in the preservation of our national heritage. They should study the impact of culture in our European society, help young people to find jobs in their own countries, and introduce tax benefits for those entities supporting cultural activities.
Committee of Culture and Education, it's your turn.
In the last years, people from other countries have immigrated to our country. It is not strange to see people from Romania, Bulgaria, and Morocco in our cities, schools, and classes. But how should the European Union contribute to protect their ethnic minorities and language while we assure them their integration in our educational system? There are a big variety of language inside the European Union, which allow us to be united in diversity. In most cases, these ethnic minorities feel isolated in our societies and our schools and tend to form pariah groups. We know that it's a long road to integration and that the European Parliament wrote the European Charter for Regional and Minority Languages. But this has proved inefficient because the culture and the languages of minorities are not respected in our educational system. Those are the proposed.
Students from other countries should have more reason for support. That some of the subjects should be taught in their own languages to make sure the learning process in the same of the students born in our country. Classes of linguistics and culture should be implemented in secondary education to educate people about ethnic minorities. Segregation at school should be commended and encourage mixed schools.
Espero que este concurso os haya ayudado a mejorar vuestros conocimientos sobre el Parlamento Europeo y el papel fundamental en la toma de decisiones que ya sabéis que influyen en la vida de más de 500 millones de habitantes de la Unión Europea. Confío en que el proyecto os haya resultado muy interesante y que haya despertado vuestra curiosidad para implicaros más en esa construcción de Europa y que viváis con interés el desarrollo de las elecciones europeas que se celebrarán el próximo mes de mayo de este año 2014. Estoy segura de que para vosotros será una experiencia inolvidable el haber participado por primera vez en el concurso Euroscola en su 20ª edición. Y por último, os deseo mucha suerte y ojalá tengáis la oportunidad de convertiros por un día en eurodiputados en la sede del Parlamento Europeo de Estrasburgo. Bonne chance, good luck for everybody. Thank you very much.